So let's now talk a little bit about the future. And when things begin to stabilize and we all start going back to work, how can organizations plan for that? And should they be planning today? What will change in your opinion? What will change and what won't change? What will stick?
Yeah, that's a really good question. While we're all focused right now on the current situation we are in, we should also keep a perspective on where things will land up. So I think my thought process here is that there is no going back to normal. I think some changes are going to be permanent in terms of users' behavior. Certainly, we would all like to go back to the office. Many of us would like to go back to the office and work from the office as well. But I do believe that this whole situation we are in right now is going to give us an opportunity to rethink how we think about monitoring our infrastructure, how we think about monitoring our applications, and how do we build agility so that if such situations arise in the future, right, we can very quickly adapt. So the first thing over here I would say is that everything we're doing right now is a little bit tactical, right? As we come back to a more normal, we should take those tactical pieces and figure out strategically what are the changes we want to put in place so that we can make our applications, our infrastructure far more agile. There is no telling. Maybe the virus comes back next year. Maybe it mutates and comes back next year, right? So everything we're doing today from a tactical perspective, we have to become a little more strategic around it and sit and think about agility in how do we run our infrastructure, agility in how do we scale up demand, how do we scale down demand. Tomorrow, many of these online applications may see perhaps a less of a demand. Will come back to a more normal behavior, right? So this notion of being able to scale up and scale down demand, I think is going to stay with us for a long time. And we've got to be very strategic on how we do that without compromising user experience. Again, my one suggestion over there is people tend to think about this as the only way to go do this well is to be able to do application instrumentation. I think that's one way to do it. A second aspect to this is to actually look at network traffic data for access into and out of those applications, to monitor the capacity of the applications, to monitor the usage of the applications, and to also be able to highlight anomalies in the behavior and usage of those applications. So I think we have to think a little bit strategically on how we make these permanent changes so that when the next situation hits us, we are more prepared to deal with this rather than reacting spontaneously as we are now.
Any other specific recommendations around preparing for the future?
Yeah, the other one I would add is, again, this whole exercise that we are in right now has shone the light on this notion that we have artificially in the past created a difference between the internet versus the intranet from a security perspective. Maybe from a quality of service perspective, yes, but from a security perspective, we've created a distinction between people accessing assets, users, devices, applications on the intranet versus the internet. I think as we look to the future, that distinction has to dissolve. There should be no security, implied security for people coming in on the intranet versus the internet. And through that mechanism, I genuinely believe if we can dissolve that and have one consistent approach, we can actually reduce costs, because now we're not dealing with an entirely different security infrastructure for the intranet versus for the internet. So you can reduce costs potentially. You can simplify operations, but you can make sure users have a consistent experience no matter where they're accessing their applications from.
Right. Absolutely. Okay. Thank you for that.